Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Price List Update Summary video series brought to you by Actionable Insights. You've got Harrison here, you've got Stone there, and for the first time, introducing the newest member of Team Actionable Insights, we have Sam Fletcher. How are you doing, Sam? Welcome to the team. Why don't you give the good folks at home an introduction to who is Sam Fletcher?
Yeah, thanks, Seth. Let me just preface with saying I'm super excited to be part of the team here. Been in the construction industry, restoration industry for a little over 15 years. Super excited to take all the knowledge and experience that I have and kind of help transfer that into helping others do better and make the industry better overall.
Love it. I mean, that's our stated mission, to preserve the health of the restoration ecosystem. And what we do is build resources that help people write better estimates. So glad to have you on board. Glad to have your goodwill and perspective joining our team to help us develop these resources for the industry to write better, more accurate estimates, and ideally reduce the amount of claims friction we see every day, help people get to work, get paid, all the good stuff in this industry. But in the meantime, in this video series, what we do is highlight what new line items were added to the Xactimate price list every month. The existing line items also change, so we take a look at what changed in the line items that you've already been using every day so that we know, hey, what's changed, what do we need to know, etc. Let's start by taking a look at the new line items that were added to the Xactimate price list in April 2025. New line items. All right, we have 15 new line items this month. Let's start here at the top. There are two new concrete grinding line items, one in the CNC concrete grinding category or concrete category, one in the FCW floor covering wood category. Now, we have had FCW grind and CNC grind for a couple of years now, but these are the first time we've seen new line items that are concrete grinding light options. Stone, what are your thoughts on these new concrete grinding light line items that have been added to the Xactimate price list?
Yep, I like that we have that variance in how deep you're going into it. And specifically flooring install, that's the first thing that comes to my mind. Sometimes you would have friction with that original grinding line item. Now that we have a light option, I think that might be a better fit for certain scenarios where you just have to essentially burr down some rough edges or some issues with the substrate to properly do that flooring install. So I think this is a good fit.
Yeah, Sam, any thoughts?
Yeah, just kind of to add to that, in my personal experience, even with a sheet vinyl installed on a concrete substrate, a lot of times you have that paper backing that ends up stuck to the concrete.
It's a nightmare. Yep.
Yeah, so having the just the variety and the option for more line items that potentially could lead to just better overall representation of the activity that you need, and even just the labor yield, I think is big for the user.
You know, one of the words of caution I usually have of when we start getting into light, medium, heavy versions or variants of line items, things can become subjective and you essentially have to justify further, why is this medium not light? Why is this heavy not medium? And sometimes that justification can be a frustrating process. Thankfully, in our preparation for this particular, we did see some language that's been included here in the item information around, what is this light line item intended to, what's the scope of this line item? Surface grinding to remove light to medium adhesive and stains, etc. And they made some changes to the existing concrete grinding line items to clarify the quality of those. So we will get to those in our second section around the changes to existing. But it's good to see there are new options for concrete grinding light. If you had previously not been able to charge, the normal concrete grinding line item because subjectively it felt like a lot, right? We talk about that a lot in our training. We want to get rid of feelings and estimates. There are now options for light so that you now have an option and you can justify accordingly.
I like it.
Next, we have about 9 new line items, maybe 10 in the TCR category. And Stone, I feel like this is 2 or 3 months in a row where we've seen a collection of new TCR line items. However, the line item descriptions are fairly familiar. Clean baseboard, clean hardware, clean door, clean floor, clean fixture, clean mirror. Stone, what are your thoughts on these new TCR line items? What are their intention?
Yeah, so I like these. I think they're a good fit. As you said, for the past couple of months, they have been filling in the, I'll say, holes within the TCR category for some quirky things that you run into when you're doing trauma and crime scene remediation. The first thing that comes to mind for these line items is spatter. If you're dealing with certain types of trauma, certain types of crime scene remediation, you have spray or you have things on surfaces that you need to deal with. If they're not porous surfaces that have to be removed, they do need to be cleaned, and these line items fill that gap. So I think it's great.
Nice. Yeah. As a former program estimator, all I ever wanted was to have the light line items in the right categories for me to be able to use them. So seeing this continuation trend of we need to have these line items in the right category to make sure they can be used in whatever environment people are working in. It's good to have. And then lastly, there are 4 new line items in the EQUWCHIP category around bucket trucks, chipper shredders, and chipper trucks. Now, we've had an EQUWCHIP, but as you can see here, we now have a small chipper shredder and a large chipper shredder. Any thoughts on these 4 new line items here?
It's a good fit. We had a couple of heavy equipment items that would help lift materials, but in this case, we didn't have a bucket truck. I think Sam can definitely speak to experience on some of these just from his tours of duty.
Yeah. Even just with the more recent Hurricane Helene within the Carolinas, having the opportunity to be down there and helping out, seeing just the devastation of trees down everywhere. I think it's just kind of a highlight to the overall vision of seeing a need and making sure that there's more opportunity and line items for the user to be able to use a more applicable line item if it's needed, as well as just making Xactimate better overall. So exciting to see just from that standpoint.
Makes sense, right? Having bucket truck and chipper truck options helps as an option in the software, to especially in those catastrophic environments when trees are flying everywhere and we just need to get the trees away off, and there weren't all the line items in the price list at the time to be able to accommodate all the charges that can go into those kinds of activities. Okay. Those are the 15 new line items that were added to the Xactimate price list in April 2025. Let's now take a look and check out the changes. Checking out the changes. I'm going to snap this to the right side here. On the left-hand side, we have a March 2025 price list and the line items. In the right side, we have April 2025. So left before and right after. As you can see, from March to April, there were no yield or supporting event changes to existing line items, so no price swings or yield labor productivity rate changes that were recorded in line items here. But there was some additional item information / clarification of existing line items. And so as mentioned previously, right, we have concrete grinding here. These are not grind minus the light grinding. These were the existing grind line items that we've had for a few years now. And if you take a look at the quality information previously, we saw in the light grinding talking about removing light adhesive, medium adhesives, and stains. This one is more clear, heavy grinding for removal of thick coatings and leveling, etc. So if you have been using these concrete grinding line items in the concrete or FCW categories, you need to pay attention and make sure you're using the proper one for the loss in the scope at hand. Because if you have a thick coating, then you should definitely use grind. But if you have a lighter adhesive that you're trying to grind away, naturally you probably will get pushed back using just grind, the line item you've been using for a while now. So it's important to be aware of the variant for light depending on the quality of the scope of hand that you have that you're trying to accomplish. Additionally, some updates to the DMOTR related line items around demoing out trees. A lot of these changes are just related to, hey, we've made some changes around we've added a small chipper truck, we've added a bucket truck, we've added a chipper truck. So whenever new line items are added around existing line items, often Xactimate's pricing department will take a look at the existing line items and determine, are there any changes that we need to make sure our new line items function well alongside our existing line items. And that's stuff they've done here. For example, now that we have a large chipper shredder and a small chipper shredder, the normal chipper shredder has been clarified to specify this is for a 13 to 18 inch trailer type, etc. So if you've been using these chipper shredder line item in Xactimate, now that there's a large and a small option, be aware that your equipment follows the quality size guidance and the additional item information to avoid any pushback or conflict in the claim settlement process. All right. That is the changes to the existing line items in April 2025. Let's take a look and look forward to the future.
Forward to the future.
Every month, Xactimate's pricing department gives us a little preview of what line items will be coming in the future. They don't tell us the category codes and the selector codes and everything about it, but they're just saying, hey, these are the things that we're looking at that you may see in the future as new line items. And on the radar, we have number 1, adding an item for HVAC assessment, which sounds interesting. And number 2, adding additional items for cleaning in the TCR category. So it appears the trend to ensure the TCR category has the splatter-oriented line items that they need to be able to account for that work will continue throughout 2025, or at least in the next month or two as we see additional changes. All right, and that is the April 2025 Price List Update Summary video series. 15 new line items, changes to existing line items. If this is your first video of ours that you're watching, hi, nice to meet you. Be sure to check us out at getinsights.org. Every single Price List Update Summary video series dating back to 2020 is on our website. And below the video box is a list of every line item we talk about. And it's hyperlinked so that when you click on it, it will jump to the point in that video that we talk about that line item. I still get a lot of positive feedback from people that are using that utility and sending the timestamped hyperlinks between contractors and adjusters explaining, hey, I know you haven't seen this line item before because it was just added this month, and here's a little video clip of actionable insights talking about this new particular line item. So if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever you might be, number 1, please follow, please like, please subscribe, smash buttons, all the good stuff. But also check us out at getinsights.org, where we have a ton of estimating resources that will help improve estimating accuracy and alike. In the meantime, good luck settling those claims out there.
Stay humble.
Keep learning, guys.